either one of these any good?
Wow, this is a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, well, the director from yesterday doesn't think so.
It stinks.
You sorry? You waste our film.
It's so bad. I think it's safe to say this is a top-heavy week at the movies. One big one and everything else pretty much getting out of its way. But there's definitely some smaller movies to talk about as well. Welcome. This is the Screening Room Podcast, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And where else are we going to start? Wolverine is recovering from his injuries when he crosses paths with the loudmouth Deadpool. They team up to defeat a common enemy in Deadpool and Wolverine.
You are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
God, I love this part.
Wait! Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
I think there are two things to say. One, we're not going to give any spoilers.
No spoilers.
Two, that description does not describe this movie at all.
I know. That's a funny description, especially when it said he's recovering from his injuries. That's like the mayor in Jaws supposedly injured some bathers. Yeah, when we last left off with Wolverine, he had some injuries.
Yeah.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
And really, going into this, that is, for me, and I think for a lot of people, one of the big questions. What about Logan?
Yeah, and how do you not do a disservice to one of
Right.
the absolutely most beautiful and brilliant superhero movies ever made?
That was such a compelling and emotional send-off for the character. And one of the strengths about the Deadpool, really one of the calling card, I think, is the self-awareness of it.
And irreverence.
And irreverence. And they're very much aware of that, and they deal with it right away. In fact, from the beginning, the very opening sequence, I think, was one of your favorites.
It was hands down my favorite.
Yeah.
I thought it was peak irreverence and so very bloody. I very much. Plus, it's just it was a very clever way to get us started, and it was a really stylistic way to just do like the opening credits.
Yes.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed the opening of this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. And its director, Sean Levy, has been worked a few times now with Ryan Reynolds. And Reynolds gets a writing credit as well. I think the second time. I think he got a writing credit on Deadpool 2, maybe. Anyway, so yeah, they're back with more of that irreverence and self-awareness. And I think if you're aware at all of the Deadpool character, you know what's coming. You know the way they handle this character and they handle the whole treatment of being in the Marvel Universe. And I think you know what to expect to a large degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you do and you're excited about it, as a lot of people are, you're going to be satisfied. I mean, as I said for my written review of this, it's really a blast of fan service and a Friars Club roast.
Right.
With a lot of carnage. I mean, a lot. I mean, I don't think we have to tell anybody this is R-rated. This is not for the kids. Not at all.
No.
But, I think I liked it better than you did. I thought it was just a lot of fun, really.
I did think it was fun. It's funny.
It is funny. I laughed a lot.
I did too. I laughed a lot, and I also think that Wolverine makes a great straight man. I mean, comedic films are full of that. You got the zany one, you got the straight man, and Hugh Jackman does a great job as Wolverine. Just his face just dripping with disdain every time, Deadpool has something to say.
And I think it's worth mentioning that their off-screen relationship feeds into this.
Yes.
I mean, they're clearly buddies.
Yeah.
And that we've gotten to know that over the years through little viral bits and when they're out at award shows or whatever. And that feeds into the wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it is a fun movie. It's just, there are a couple things about it. One is that it's, forgive me, it's pointless. At least in 1 and 2, I think there was a bit of a core story to follow.
Okay.
There was, there were like real stakes underneath of it. And this is like just the slightest skeleton of a concept upon which they build.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because you said that, you mentioned that after the movie. We were talking amongst ourselves, and I kind of didn't pursue it because I was thinking about this podcast. I don't want to talk to you anymore. We're just going to talk in the podcast. But no, that's worth talking about because I think I've seen, maybe that brought up by a couple other people on social media. So by the point of it, you mean from the story, not the point to make a movie, which is obviously to make a lot of money. That's the point, and to get these two characters together.
Right. So if we can divorce art from capitalism for a second, there's nothing underneath. It's just a sketch. It's just a stitching together of jokes, right? Without an honest to God story that matters. Now, I mean, and the thing is that, 1 and 2, they both actually did. He had an arc. He had something that you understood he had to try to achieve. This, they tell you, and I'm not going to say what it is, but they say, oh, he's got to do this one thing. And the whole thing, you're like, I don't buy any of that. And it took us 4 seconds to set that up. So it's just, there is no purpose, right? There's no artistic or just a writerly center to this. But it is a fun stitching together of random jokes. Some of them go on for too long.
I think for me it has more of a point than that. I mean, I think they were up against quite a conundrum that we've already talked about with the whole Logan thing, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I think the main point for the Deadpool character is that he's given the chance to matter. And to maybe, can he dream, be part of the Avengers? Again, that's all part of the winking and the in-jokes.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, but I think there's a little bit more of a point to the writing than you do.
No, because I think when the script in words says to the audience, you want to matter, I want to matter, that's not actually building a story on a character who wants to matter. We don't see any evidence at any point that he wants to matter or that anybody says he shouldn't matter or doesn't matter. They just tell us that somebody thinks he doesn't matter and that he should. It's so anyway. And I know this is really nitpicky,
well,
I suppose.
No, but I think, no, it's
although maybe it's not. I mean, you really enjoyed the movie more than I did, and that was why. I thought there's no stakes, not really, that I feel interested in, invested in.
I guess after 2 movies, I guess I knew what to expect, and that didn't bother me because the way they handle things, when you tell me that he wants to matter, I got a little bit of that from the first 2 movies, a little bit. So I was more wrapped up in the treatment of how they handle this character and this story. So that something like that slid right by me. Now, the bigger thing, I think maybe ties into the writing, is the fact that how they get around this Logan thing, and the fact that we are now, and we can't go into, even if we wanted to, it's too complicated. They meet this guy, Mr. Paradox, and blah, blah, blah. But the fact that we're now into the superhero multiverse, I think we were talking about this amongst ourselves too. That is really, as far as a writer, that's a get out of jail free card.
Oh yeah, it is.
To do just about anything you want. And once you're in multiverse, it was so much fun in the Spider-Man, the animated one. That was awesome. Then that just opens up the chance to do all sorts of things that are a bit of, it's almost like a sitcom when a character wins the lottery.
Right.
Oh, how convenient
or
is
it's
that?
a dream sequence.
Yeah. So I get now that we're in the multiverse phase of the MCU, and it can be a little convenient or a lot convenient. And let's just say they take advantage of that. So I think this conversation about pointless and multiverse is sort of tied in together, and we can't go too far into it.
No, although I do want to say that, as they do with everything else, they point out how stupid the multiverse is. In this movie, This movie takes advantage of and also mocks, which is what it does with every single thing it does.
Exactly.
That is its calling card, is that even as it is taking advantage of a certain genre trope, it is mocking it at the same time.
Yeah.
So at least there's that, right? At least it is saying, this is dumb, but this is how we get this to happen. And, of course, one of the things that it allows it to do, and in a very clever way, is to, and we will share not a single face that you'll see, but the cameos are fun. And this is how they manage to get and in a very clever way, this is how they manage to get the cameos in there.
Yeah, and some of them I think will be cheer-inducing. I really do. Very, very fan service, yes, but they are fun.
They are
They
fun.
do find a way to work them in that makes sense within this framework that they've cooked up. And again, I think after 2 movies, you pretty much know going in whether this is your bag or not. And I saw someone else post something on social media that admitted that, the Ryan Reynolds shtick just isn't their bag. Okay,
Don't
I get
go.
that. Then don't go.
No, because that's all. I mean, that's exactly what
Right.
the whole Deadpool franchise is.
Yeah.
It's like, you just took his character from waiting and you made him a superhero.
and he's just gotten better at it. I mean,
Yeah.
his timing with these quips is perfect. And he finds a great straight man in Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he does.
And again, we already know that they're buddies, and the fact that they work so well together because Logan gets dragged into this, and from having any sort of relationship with the character, he's dragged into it reluctantly.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want anything to do with it. And
Angrily,
and they spend much of the early part of the movie fighting each other.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of action in this movie and a lot of bloodshed. And it does go on. I think you're right about that. I think the movie itself goes on a little too long. It's as funny as I thought it was. It's also overly impressed with itself a few times, like, aren't we clever?
Mhm.
So I get that part about it. But you do have to, as long as it is, you pretty much have to stay through the credits.
Yeah,
because
you do.
There's one sort of poignant. I mean, the early thing through the credits is sort of poignant as they look back on the history of the characters, but then you get some fun stuff at the end too. So you definitely want to stay. But it's pushing, the runtime pushes it a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, I had a blast with it. And I say often, I'm terrible about picking hits.
Oh, this is going to be a massive, giant, huge super hit.
I have a feeling it's going to do well.
Yes,
I
yeah.
do, because
I mean, especially for an R-rated film, holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, because we got to see it early last week, and then just last night we were at the theater, and it wasn't Barbenheimer traffic,
No.
but there was some good traffic.
Yeah, there was some good
definitely
traffic,
good traffic at the theater. So yeah, I thought it was very, very funny and very fun, and just delivers, a good blast of late summer action. And I think for the people that are all in on what this franchise has been doing, I cannot see them not being satisfied.
No,
I really don't.
I think if this is a movie that you've been excited about, you're going to be happy with it.
I think so.
And
I
if
definitely think
if
so.
you're like, I don't know how much I like these, but if you did not like the first 2, you aren't going to like this
Right.
because there's much less underneath of the jokes.
Yeah, that's the benefit here of it being a part 3. We know what they're doing, and we think now with adding Wolverine to the mix, they're just going to up the ante on the fun, and I think they do. So yeah, I'll be interested to see the box office here. I think it's going to be good.
I agree.
I think it's going to be good, and that is Deadpool and Wolverine in all the theaters now. Well, there is one other wide release that had the nerve to take on Deadpool and Wolverine this week at the multiplexes. It's a comedy, tells the story of 2 friends who travel to be bridesmaids in a surprise wedding of their college girlfriend. It's called The Fabulous 4.
I got myself an obsession.
Come on, Alice, open the box.
Will you be my bridesmaid?
What?
John died just 2 months ago.
So she got out there kind of quick.
Takes longer to cancel a gym membership.
Cause you gave me all I've been.
Why was Lou so mad at you? You stole her man?
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Back in the day.
I couldn't make a bed, but I could break a bed.
What do you think of the dress?
I think you should stay away from an open flame.
Aw, same old Lou.
You got to give a little love. Give a little love. Go on, just give.
It's friendship. And what's more important than that?
I used your Kegel ball. When? Just now outside.
Hey, somebody stop that kid. He stole my bike.
Give a little love.
TikTok was mine. You stole it from me.
How does it feel?
Oh, God.
Is it just me, or do we need some champagne?
Give a little love.
Yeah, that math doesn't really add up because there are 4 friends. There are 4 friends, and they're played by Bette Midler and Susan Sarandon and Cheryl Lee Ralph and Megan Mullally. That's the 4. And the first thing that grabbed me about this movie is that it is set in, and at least some of it was filmed in Key West.
This is our favorite place in the world.
Our favorite place. We're going there in a couple of months.
That's
and
right.
We've been going there for over 30 years. So we love Key West, and definitely some I noticed in some of the shots where like they say they're at a certain place and they're not.
Yeah.
I get that.
But
Some
did
of
they eat? Did they eat at Blue Heaven? Because if they didn't, then they've really ruined the trip.
Right, they did not.
See?
There are some scenes out on Duval Street which I really enjoyed. Anyway, so we like the setting, but the thing that disappointed me once I really dug into this and started looking at the filmmakers, it was written by Anne Marie Allison and Jenna Milley. And a few years ago, they wrote a little film that we loved called The Golden Arm. Now, this came out during COVID, and we got a chance to see a lot of streamers that time. Dig into a lot of movies that maybe we might have missed. Outside of lockdown, and it was a film about female arm wrestlers.
It was hilarious.
Hilarious.
It was so funny.
Hilarious and edgy and rude.
Yeah,
and I love
rude.
that. This is not.
No.
This is very safe,
Yes.
and it's like they got an assignment to make one of these
Diane Keaton movies.
Yes, the older women fantasies. And that, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get us wrong. There's nothing wrong with having characters of advanced ages in these stories. Maybe find some romance later in life. Love it. Plus, we love seeing these veteran actresses as well.
Yeah.
That's all good. But when
Please write them something worthy of their talent.
Exactly. When it just panders and makes everything so safe and so contrived. Now, I think we're getting these because they're finding an audience, and that's great.
It is. But if you think about Thelma, right, which was a movie about older people, and it was funny, but you laughed with her. She wasn't doing, I'm going to eat some chicken wings. I'm going to be in a tango contest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She had a story, and she was following a story, and you didn't feel like you were laughing at her. And I think the rest of these, you do.
This is better, though, than something like 80 for Brady.
Yes.
I mean, we're not laughing at them. Oh, they still like sex. Oh, we're not doing that.
Right.
So it's better, but it's just so safe. I mean, it's not really funny.
No.
At all. There's at least one antics, but when they go parasailing, but they're in Key West on vacation. People do that. It's a little bit more organic than getting in, say, a beer chugging contest or something. So it's a little bit better than that, but it's just, it's so safe and planned. And there's Michael Bolton that shows up looking like there's a lot of places he'd rather be. And then at the end, there's a full-on dance number just for no reason at a wedding reception. Let's all do a choreographed dance and we'll sing. All right. Oh, again, find an audience. If you love these movies, God bless you. Enjoy it. But from a comedy standpoint, it's not funny. It's just another one of these fantasies that I think feels like they have the audience already locked up. They really don't have to try that hard.
I think, it's been a long time since Bette Midler made a movie, and I'm sad that this is the one she decided to make. But, Susan Sarandon can and should be doing better than this.
Yeah, and there's something right there. And Bette Midler's character is a woman of advanced age, and her character finds, she's into TikTok. So they're sort of like making fun of old people getting into TikTok.
Yeah.
They don't go too overboard with it, but it's just another one of those like, oh man, I wish this was better. Especially when these writers have written something so funny.
Megan Mullally's funny.
Yeah, Megan Mullally.
But I don't think she can help it. I don't think it's possible for her not to be funny.
When she was in that Will and Grace type of character with a little more bite to it. That's the thing. The whole movie needed a little more bite.
Yeah.
And we know the writers can write it because they have. The Golden Arm was so funny. So maybe when they're allowed next time to have a little more of that, it'll get back to what they can do. I should say the director is Jocelyn Morehouse, but that is The Fabulous Four. So if a bit of a counter program, if you're looking for a movie like this and not superhero stuff, that is in the theaters this weekend as well. Okay, you've got the superhero fans, you've got the mature comedy fans. I can hear you saying, what about horror? We got you. We got you covered. Lost in a Hostile Forest, the Marquis d'Urfé, a notable emissary of the King of France, finds refuge in the home of a strange family. This is called the Vourdalak.
Tout allait bien ici avant votre arrivée. C'est vous, étrangers, qui avez porté le malheur sur notre famille.
Si un père n'est pas tout pour ses enfants, il n'est rien.
Now, what's cool about this right away, if you're a horror fan, vampire fan, you've heard of Dracula. Well, this story predates Dracula by about a century.
Yes. Well, because, a lot of people may mistakenly think that Stoker, made up the vampire. No, no, no. They're vampire myths like in every culture in the world going back for centuries. And so this, and it's an interesting story because it's also pokes fun at sort of, class warfare back in the day as this very powdered, rouged, bewigged young man with pointy shoes finds himself lost in the woods because the Turks have killed everybody in his party except for him, and he's representing the King of France, and he's in these wild woods in, I think, Romania, and no one will let him in, but one person finally, through a slot in the door, tells him to keep walking, don't stop for anything, and when you get to Gorsh House, they will let you in. And they do let him in, but they pay no attention to him whatsoever, and he can't figure out what the deal is. And the deal is that the dad has gone to fight the Turks. And if he's back in 6 days, all is well. If he's back 1 minute later, don't let him in.
I love that.
He's no longer their father.
That's an intriguing hook right there. I love that.
And they do let him in. And it's a bad decision because, first of all, he's clearly a puppet. I love a lot about this movie. I really do. It's very imaginative. It's really creepy and weird in the best way. But the fact that nobody says anything about that the father character is being played by a giant menacing puppet is just the best.
Yeah.
But it's really, it's gory when it needs to be. It says a lot, really, honestly, in pretty organic ways about feminism and about gender fluidity and about how hard life was, the 17th century. And it's just a lot of fun. So this is one, it started a very limited release a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. It's starting to roll out a little bit more now. If you get the chance to see the Vourdalak, if it seems like it's something that's up your alley, go.
Yeah, this is co-writer and director Adrian Bowe. And definitely the people that I've seen that have checked it out are impressed.
Yes.
This is one that could build a following. But again, it's in some select theaters. So hopefully in your area, and if not, maybe then before too long. Well, we'll find out in the weeks ahead from the Schlocketeer when this might be hitting the VOD circuit. But definitely worth checking out. Big puppets and all. It's called The Vourdalak in select theaters now. Next up is a Day and Date, a horror thriller. This was in select theaters, also available on Prime. A group of old college friends reunite on a Caribbean scuba diving trip, exploring the wreckage of a World War II battleship and find themselves trapped inside the underwater labyrinth of rusted metal, surrounded by great white sharks. It is The Last Breath.
The USS Charlotte, buried in the sand for 80 years.
Are we sure about this?
Holy crap. This is awesome.
Why isn't there more stuff growing here?
What was that?
What was that?
I don't know.
We're trapped. There are 2 ways out. Shark on either end.
Everyone stay still. Shark!
What do we do now?
Just hang on.
I just want to get out of here.
What's going on?
This is Julian Sands' final performance.
Yes, this is his last film. He died tragically. He's really, it's not a cameo, but it's a small part.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, first off, is not to be confused with, there was a documentary called Last Breath from about 5 years ago.
About 5
or
years
so.
ago, yeah.
Yeah, not this. This is The Last Breath. And yeah, it centers around these friends that come down to meet their old college friend named Noah, and played by Jack Parr. And he's working for Julian Sands' character, Levi. They have this old sort of run-down scuba shop, dive shop. And, of course, Levi is many thousands of dollars in debt, which is a pivotal plot point because the day before that all the college friends show up, Levi and Noah have found the wreck of the USS Charlotte that was lost, torpedoed, and went down in World War II. So they found the wreck. They haven't even called it in yet. They're going to report it to the authorities. But the main, well, not one of the guys in the college group, who's a rich douche, he says, hey, I'll give you a lot of money if you let us wait one day to call it in. You let us dive it first. And, of course, he offers enough money to get Levi and everybody and get him out of debt. So as one I pointed out in my written review, we're both certified scuba divers. That is suicidal idiocy.
Yes.
Do you
remember how mad you were at Juno in The Descent?
Right.
When she was like, no, I thought it'd be fun. Let's just explore underground caves alone without anybody knowing where we are.
Oh, my
it's
God.
Unmapped. Sure, it'll be fine. This is that level of stupid.
You know, we've even been on a few wreck dives, and that is just so idiotic. But I get it. It's a movie. They're going to do it, and this guy offers all this money to get him out of debt, so they decide they'll go down there and do it. And Noah, the main diver, the guy that works for Julian Sands, he's trying to make them be careful. But again, no one has checked out the inside of this ship. Of course, they bring a guide wire down and they try all the safeguards, but things are going to go badly. And they also do, and this is nitpicking, I know it is, a lot of these shark movies, they have this happen because it makes sense for the actors. Cinematically, is they have these full-face scuba masks that are set up with integrated microphones so they can all talk to each other. Those are quite expensive. No ragtag scuba shop is going to be renting these out to tourists. It's not going to happen. But cinematically, you can see the actors' faces and you can have dialogue going. The bigger problem is the dialogue here is mostly inane.
Yes.
And too much exposition. And even when the divers are off by themselves, talking to themselves when they're actually talking to us to explain what they're thinking, which is not really organic. And then, of course, the sharks come cruising. The writers are Andrew Prendergast and Nick Saltrese. The director, Joachim Hedden, I know I mispronounced that. He's a veteran of some underwater dramas, and he does pretty well with the framing, the spacing underwater. Much of that is pretty good. I mean, this is a step above, of course, your Sharktopusses and your Sharknadoes. It is.
Sure.
I mean, and once the sharks show up, they look pretty good. The actual attacks, little bit less than thrilling with the CGI, but there is some tension here, and most of it is through little subtle movements or subtle shots, like on a expiring air tank, how much air we have left, or this frayed guide wire, because once that goes, then they don't know how to get back because they haven't mapped this wreck. So things like that do work. This is a step above. It's not up to the Shallows or something like that, or some of these better. I'm not even going to talk about the Jaws. It's not even, don't even. But the better shark movies that we've
Where
seen.
is it, though, on the Jaws scale? Is it a Jaws 3? Is it a Jaws 4?
Okay. On the Jaws scale, we could talk about Jaws 3 or Jaws 4, yes. But even the better ones we've seen over the last few years, like the Shallows. Mm-hmm. I know there's another one that I'm forgetting. Open Water,
which was glorious.
Yeah, not up to those standards. But if you just love all the shark movies, I wouldn't even go so far as to call this sharksploitation so much, because for a lot of it, it's more of an underwater drama, really. It takes a while for the sharking to really get going, but it still qualifies as a shark movie if you just want to see them all. And it's better than The Dregs, but sort of right in the middle. And that is called The Last Breath, and it is out on video and in select movie theaters now.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Time to head off to the lobby and maybe get a snack and check in with the Schlocketeer for the latest studio news and notes. What's going on?
Well, the Russell Crowe crime thriller Sleeping Dogs is now available to stream on Hulu, and Michael Keaton's Knox Goes Away is now on Max. So if you're in the mood for a dad movie double at home this weekend, there you go.
I saw Knox Goes Away. I haven't heard of the other one.
Yeah, it hit VOD a couple months ago, I think. Not much fanfare at the time.
No, I guess not. Okay.
Ty West's Maxine will arrive on premium VOD on August 2nd. So if you missed it in theaters, you can watch it at home pretty soon.
Yeah, that's next weekend.
It's funny because both X and Pearl took forever to hit streamers, and this one is just quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that shows how things have changed in recent years, really.
It definitely does.
And not a quick turnaround here, but it's finally hitting Disney Plus and Hulu on August 2nd, is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I'm glad they gave that some time in the theaters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was definitely one to see on the big screen. Yeah, I like that one.
And then Jeff Nichols' The Bike Riders will rumble onto Peacock on August 9th. And there's a black and white version of George Miller's Furiosa that will hit VOD on August 13th.
Aha. Okay.
And a little bit more fun home viewing. Immaculate will hit Hulu on August 16th.
Yeah, date night, fired up.
That's right.
Right. And then both the theatrical and extended cuts of The Fall Guy will arrive on Peacock on August 30th.
Man, Peacock's getting a lot of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are big ones, yeah. Fall Guy was a lot of fun. A little too long, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure the extended cut, because that's a thing.
Yeah.
Can they just put the deleted scenes separately so I can watch that? Because it was a little long. It was fun, but it was too long.
More Lee Majors.
Well, it might be 20 more minutes of Lee Majors, because that's supposedly about how much longer the extended cut is.
Wow.
And then moving on to something new, Netflix has set a September 6th premiere for Jeremy Saulnier's new action thriller Rebel Ridge, which stars Aaron Pierre, Anna Sophia Robb, Don Johnson, and James Cromwell.
Nice.
Wow, okay. Always interested in what he's doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron will arrive on Max on September 6th.
Masterpiece. Watch it. Do it.
Absolutely. And then Shudder and IFC Films have set a September 27th theatrical release for Azrael, which is an action horror thriller that stars Samara Weaving and is directed by Cheap Thrills filmmaker E.L. Katz.
Cheap Thrills is a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. I assume this will be a little bit like Oddity, and that it'll only be a semi-wide theatrical release. So if anyone's looking forward to it, you might have to hunt around more than usual for showtimes when September 27th rolls around.
Okay.
And then last on deck, Searchlight Pictures will release James Mangold's Timothée Chalamet starring Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, in theaters this December. It doesn't have an exact date yet, but my guess would be either they'll drop it in early December or they'll put it on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I've checked out the trailer. You know, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, and it sure sounds to me like Timothy's doing his own singing.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah. Because if you remember back to James Mangold doing Walk the Line, of course, Joaquin Phoenix did his own singing, so feels like something that would happen. But and they've got him, looking like Dylan, too, back in the day. He's already, almost skin and bones, and they do his hair up. Yeah, it's striking a good presence.
And we're getting a lot of those music biopics now. We're supposed to get a Bruce Springsteen one next year.
Right.
Who's playing him?
Well, that's the one. It's really. Is this the one that's really only about the recording of the Nebraska album? Correct?
Yes, I believe so.
I've heard it's the guy from the Bear, and the Iron Claw. Yeah, Jeremy Allen White. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's supposed to do his own singing on that too. So fingers crossed that these both turn out well.
Okay.
Nebraska, as you know, is my favorite Springsteen album.
I do know that, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. So that's coming down the line. Okay, thank you as always. You can check out the latest from Daniel, always on the socials at the Schlocketeer. See you next time.
Okay, see you next week.
Thank you.
Looking ahead to next week, well, we'll have a little more to talk about next week. The latest from M. Night Shyamalan comes out called Trap.
Also, Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Oh, a movie called Sing Sing is finally out. Got to see this a few weeks ago now. It's fantastic. So we'll talk about Sing Sing next week.
Also, Kneecap.
One called The Bohemian.
All My Friends Are Dead.
All right. Last Summer.
Detained.
And Dr. Jekyll. That is all next week. But what about this week? What are we thinking about Deadpool and Wolverine? Have you seen it? What was your favorite cameo? What do you think about our conversation about does it have a point? What about the multiverse? Is that just a cheat? We love to keep the conversation going on all the socials. You can find us everywhere. You can find us at Mad Wolf Columbus on Threads. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on Instagram. Come, keep the conversation going. And, of course, always look up our main website, where you can find all of our written reviews and our horror movie only podcast called Fright Club. Getting ready to record another one of those tomorrow. So we'll have a brand new one coming soon. So plenty of ways to keep in touch. We hope you will. In the meantime, enjoy these late summer weeks. Beautiful where we are here in Columbus. Hope it is the same where you are. And until next week, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.